Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and it is with a heavy heart today that I want to talk about Marvel fatigue. I grew up with the movies. I've seen until I think this year, I've seen every movie that's been released. I've watched every show that's come out, but I unfortunately have to say I'm kind of sick of Marvel. And this isn't to be like hopping on the Marvel hate train. It really brings me sadness to see how far this universe has deteriorated, if that's the right word for it. Marvel was a game changer in cinema. It kind of not brought back blockbusters, but it kind of reinitiated blockbusters, or at least in my opinion, it kind of brought people back to the movie theaters at increasing rates of like wanting to see the next movie. So, what is Marvel fatigue? Marvel fatigue is essentially when you get exhausted by the increasing amount of releases that the Marvel franchise or Marvel Cinematic Universe is producing, and it's being released at a rate that the fans or movie watchers or just people in general are unable to keep up with. It's kind of pushing past the point that even fans can keep up at this point. What makes the Marvel Cinematic Universe so special is it kind of started off as these individual movies that we didn't know were going to end up being, or we did, or at least I didn't know were going to end up being connected in the way they were. But after a while, these interconnected films kind of slowly led into one big eclipse event, is what I'm going to call it, where everything falls into place. And what was so effective about it, especially when Marvel movies first started coming out, was it was like a build-up. So what they did effectively was they established who their characters were. They established like the issues or the faults of the character. They established a villain for the character to go up against, small villains. And then as time progressed, more character development happened, and these characters were able to kind of evolve with the events that would occur in this interconnected yet individualized story. Unfortunately, as popularity in watching Marvel movies and shows increased, so did the amount of movies and shows that were being produced. For example, there are currently 6 phases out. In phase one, that was from 2008 to 2012, the movies released were Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, The First Avenger, and The Avengers. So you get these characters that are part of the Avengers. They're developed, fleshed out in their own movies, and then they come together at the end in the Avengers movie. Next is phase two, which was from 2013 to 2015, and that was Iron Man 3, which was that was one of the first Marvel movies that not everyone was really a fan of. Me personally, I loved Iron Man 3, but that's just a me thing. Some people were not a fan of this movie, but I found it fun because I'm always going to be for character driven stories. I love when movie or show kind of gives you more behind the scenes to explain how a character develops, especially superhero characters. I love that, bread and butter. So that's why I liked it. But other movies were Thor, The Dark World, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, Age of Ultron, and Ant-Man. After that was phase three, which was from 2016 to 2019. That was Captain America, Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man, Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Avengers, Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Avengers, Endgame, Spider-Man, Far From Home. And so in phase three is kind of where we see the beginning of the deterioration in Marvel movies, because now it's less thought out individually driven character stories, and now it's more about the big bad. It's about the bigger stakes, not just produced or not produced, because that makes me sound like I produce music, but I just created a video talking about how like increased stakes in movies isn't working because they have to retroactively make the characters or the story seem smaller, lesser, less vital, less in general, in order to achieve the effect in the latest movie coming out. And that's unfortunate consequence of that. After that was phase four, which was from 2021 to 2022. And just to reiterate, that is the span of 1 year. And I'm about to list out all the things that came out in a phase over 1 year. WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, The Black Widow, Loki Season 1, What If Season 1, let me not pronounce that wrong. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Eternals, Hawkeye, Spider-Man, No Way Home, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Miss Marvel, Thor: Love and Thunder, She-Hulk, Attorney at, why did I say it like I'm trying to string my words together. She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, Werewolf by Night, which I've never even heard of. I must not be a real Marvel movie fan because I've never heard of Werewolf by Night. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. Now, just to reiterate, this is what like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. This is 17 different movie TV shows coming out in the span of 1 year. After that is Marvel Phase 5, which we're currently in, and that's from 2023 to 2025. And what will be coming out is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which, side note, I haven't seen. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Secret Invasion, Loki Season 2, The Marvels, Blade, Agatha, Covenant Chaos, Daredevil, Born Again, Captain America, New World Order, Thunderbolts, What If Season 2, Echo, and Ironheart. And I said at the beginning, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I haven't seen, but let me just repeat and say all of these movies on the list I haven't seen, even Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, because it just becomes a point where it's just like, why bother? Like, it's so much to keep up with. I was informed, spoilers for anyone who might not know this, but apparently stuff that happened in the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special end up being relevant in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And so what becomes the issue is before in like phase one, you can watch one movie and skip other movies and still be able to keep track. But now it's so every show movie is stacked on the other that if you miss something, you're going to miss everything else that comes after it. And that's so unfortunate. And I'm like, I just can't keep up the momentum of being like Marvel, 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 Marvel. Even now, like my family has Disney Plus and I technically can wait and see those movies without having to go to like the movie theater to pay for them. But it's like I genuinely don't want to. In addition to the fact that combined with Marvel fatigue, Marvel movies aren't at the level that they used to be, which I think is a component in the fatigue because it's like not only are they pushing out these shows and movies, but the shows and movies are poor quality. So you're watching low key garbage, not low key, get me? We're low key watching garbage and it's being produced at an increased rate. Because like the movies that came before, and I'm always gonna keep reiterating that the movies in phase one will always be my favorite because of the way that it was paced and the way that it flew. Because phase one was what? Phase one was over the course of 4 years and it was like less than 10 movies. So you had time to breathe in between, you had time to build up excitement, you had time to kind of wait it out and kind of watch and see what would come of it. And now it's like you kind of now in this newer phases, you kind of know what's going to happen because these shows and movies are continuing on keeping the story alive. It's no longer about these individual stories. It's like, oh, I want to tell this character or this superhero story and that be its own thing, but then it contributes to a longer story. Now in these phases, it's like it's all about the larger story, and those individual character moments are no longer there anymore. That's another component that contributes, I believe, to Marvel fatigue is the character development isn't what it used to be. Before it used to be like you have these ideologies, you have these personality quirks, these traits, and this character would have to start at the beginning of their journey and then learn what type of superhero they wanted to be. And it was such an effective tool because we got to see the growth, especially over the course of the different movies that were coming out at the time. Like, for example, Captain America, his character growth or his character evolution throughout the series of movies has been so fascinating to watch because you've seen how he started and you can see how things happen, events happen, and his character kind of changes due to that. And so it's like now you're watching a low quality, poorly established character go through all this stuff, and you know the end goal of it isn't to establish that character or anything like that. It's to contribute to a big bad that's going to result once all the movies come together. And it's like I understand why there was a shift towards it because after Marvel's Infinity War and Endgame, the establishment of those characters coming together to that conclusion was amazing. It was so cool to see it, and it was so fun to be a part of the fandom when it happened. But unfortunately, because Disney, less Marvel, more Disney, but since Marvel is a part of Disney, but because Disney focuses now on making money, it's like, oh, we need to get to the next big bad to make as much money as Endgame. And they're failing to realize the reason that Marvel was so successful, the reason that why Marvel was so beloved, the reason why Marvel was such a game changer, because it took the time to build something great. And they're like, oh, who cares about building something great if we can make money quickly because the fans are already hooked. They want to see, or they're going to see, not want to, they're going to see more because the movies had established a really good fandom. And so I think that Marvel and Disney are taking advantage of the fact that people love these characters, they love these stories, and they're willing to go see them and pay money to go see them. But now it's gotten to a point where it's like it's taking so much advantage that people don't want to be taken advantage anymore. Like, who wants to go pay money to send a movie theater to watch a character that's poorly established? The humor, the lines, the cinematography isn't that great. And I understand that like with the CGI, it's because they are overworking their people. And that's another component of it. Like Marvel is putting the people that make the movie magic through the ringer in order to produce more and more content at extreme and increased rates. So without paying them well, which is not fun, that's not fair. And so they're not able to keep up with that level, that demand as that's being asked of them. So what's being released is just kind of thrown by the wayside. And it's like, how can I, as a Marvel fan, want to sit and enjoy a Marvel movie knowing full and well that it's the likelihood of it being poor quality, the characters aren't going to be that great or that established. The end goal of it is to contribute to a bigger story that I'm not really caring for because I'm more of a fan of individualized stories. And it has behind the scenes issues with the people that are working because they're not treating them fairly. So it's so unfortunate. And last phase, hopefully that's coming out, is going to be from 2025 to 2027. And they say in those movies so far, what's coming out is Deadpool 3, Fantastic Four, Avengers, Kang Dynasty, Avengers, Secret Wars. And that's all that this website is saying. We'll probably add more on. But what I want Marvel and Disney to understand is they are single-handedly draining the love of a great franchise by trying to produce more content at the expense of great stories and like good setups, or not even setups. Like they are risking the component that made Marvel movies so loved for what? To make money. And then what the end goal is, or the consequence of this, is that they're risking this chance that even if you know that Marvel has been producing stuff and you're kind of like, oh, well, I'm kind of cool off Marvel, but you want to see these new characters that they're establishing, but then people are now getting to a point where they're like, who cares about the new characters? You know, it's so interesting to see. Do I think Marvel is going to stop making movies and shows anytime soon? No, absolutely not, because they are still technically making money because fans are still watching the stuff, which I kind of like. Why? Why? But I mean, if you're a real hardcore fan, then of course you're going to keep watching it, even if it's garbage, because you want to see the company still make more stuff, or you want to see your favorite superheroes on screen. But if they're not careful, they some of their movies that they've come out with are losing some real money because people don't want to see Marvel anymore. They want it to be given a break, let it breathe a little bit. Maybe take some time, Disney, Marvel, to like sit down with the board of directors and really evaluate this franchise. Like, because if you want to, you can make some money off of this franchise. This franchise will give you a bang for your buck. But if you're doing it like this, at some point, like you're gonna run out of people who are willing to watch. You're gonna run out of people who are willing to pay to watch it, and then these franchises fall by the wayside. Can't milk a cow dry. Like you really can't. Like it's really unfortunate to see. Let me know what y'all think. Do you think Marvel's kind of going by the wayside? Do you think Marvel fatigue is a real thing? Are you guys experiencing Marvel fatigue? If so, like, it's okay to take a break from it because those movies will always be there. They made them now. At this point, they're readily available on Disney Plus without the extra expenses of paying like $40+ to see them. So if you need to take a moment to like step back and be like, okay, I feel like I can't watch any more of this because it's really starting to like make me feel upset or some type of way, then do that. Trust and believe that your mental health is more important. And like people be like, oh, why are you bringing mental health into it? But it's like it's difficult to want to keep doing something knowing you don't want to do it. Like you're pushing yourself past that boundary for the sake of doing something you once loved or doing something you still love. And that's such a unfortunate component of Marvel fatigue. Let me know what y'all think about it. Are y'all still watching Marvel movies and shows? If you are, is it worth it? Truly? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I was going to say something Marvel related, but I'm kind of drawing a blank. It's so interesting because I literally stopped watching Marvel movies before I think phase 4. Yeah, I stopped watching Marvel halfway through phase 4 because I just couldn't hold it up anymore. So I don't have any relevant Marvel clips to say. I hope y'all have a good day.